Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito.
And I'm Francesca Marconi.
Today on Ciao Italia, recipes from the Marche. One of the best things about living near Portsmouth, New Hampshire, is that the ocean is part of your daily life. And if you're hungry for classic seafood chowders and stews, Gino's is a part of your life too. Their recipes are more than just food. And this family-owned restaurant is more than just a place to eat. Francesca Marconi wields her magic every day, creating lobster rolls to die for and seafood stews and chowders, made from scratch, of course. Francesca's my kind of cook, and today we're making some of her favorites. Let's get started. So, New England clam chowder, because we're in New England, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know there are many ways to make it, but I know that you have a specific way of doing it because this is something that you learned from
my mom.
Your mom.
Yeah.
And she and her family was from the Marche.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
On the Adriatic side. Okay,
Absolutely.
so
Yes.
all
yes.
fish today.
Yes, all seafood.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about clams. So these are mahogany clams?
Yes, but they called them at the my purveyor count necks.
Count necks.
Yes.
Oh, that's a new name. I haven't
it's
heard
just
that one before.
they have various names.
Okay. So how do we start?
Start moderate heat in my pan.
Okay.
And start with a good bit of butter, probably.
Butter.
Probably yes, and butter, not margarine, not something else.
No olive oil. I'm surprised that you're using butter because I would think that you would have used olive oil or lard maybe in the Marche.
Maybe yes, but
way back when.
But when the recipes come to America, they morph into what's available here.
Right.
Because the seafood's different.
Yes. Very different.
Yeah, slightly. So we let the butter melt down a little bit. I start with a pretty moderate heat.
Okay.
And then what I'll do is I have a chopped onion. Personally, I prefer a sweeter onion. Mm-hmm. Depends on the season. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in the winter it might be the yellow onions. Mm-hmm.
In the summer you could use Vidalia.
That's exactly what that is.
All right,
yeah,
a Vidalia onion. Good.
Nice and sweet.
All right, good. So while that's getting melted, what do we do next?
I always ahead of time do my potatoes. I boil my potatoes. Mm-hmm. I boil them whole potatoes, wash them, boil them till they're fork tender. Mm-hmm. And then I cool them, and then I will peel them and dice them. And I try to get a uniform size.
So everything cooks at the same time.
It cooks at the same time, and then when you are having your chowder, you're going to get a piece of potato, you're going to get a little bit of clam, you're going to get a little bit of onion. Mm-hmm. You want a little bit of everything on your spoon.
Right. Okay.
I would like a little bit of salt, which is to your left.
Yes. Okay, so we have some salt.
Yep.
So that was like one onion and a couple tablespoons of the butter, right?
Yes.
Is this enough salt?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
I'd
good.
say that probably about a teaspoon or so of salt.
Okay, good.
We got some action going on in here.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to add 2 cloves of garlic.
All right.
Through my handy dandy garlic
Your
press.
handy dandy garlic
Yes.
mincer. Okay.
And I never want to miss a bit of it, so we're going to take all of it.
Okay, good. Do you like to add any kind of hotness to this, like hot red pepper or anything?
Well, in my secret house spice blend here, there is some red pepper flakes in here. Mm-hmm. I make a house spice blend that I use in my chowder. It's kind of a secret recipe.
It's a secret,
thing.
so we won't tell anybody what's in it, right?
Well, there's a multitude of things in there.
Okay.
I can tell you what they are. I just don't tell you the quantities of them.
Okay. So we've got rosemary.
Yes.
And that is from your garden?
That's from my garden.
Perfect. And you've got some
bay leaves.
Bay leaf.
Yep.
And then you've got some
dried basil from the garden.
Dried basil from the garden.
And there's
What's
also a little bit of thyme from the garden in the bottom of here.
And that's all going to get ground up.
It is. Yeah. It is. And then I've got some dried onion. This is purchased. It's dried diced onion. It's good for a multitude of things because when I make a lot of spice blend ahead. And if I used fresh onions, it would
mold.
Yeah, it would mold.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, and we've got
you've got some celery seed.
Some celery seed.
So you've got some, what is
Some
this?
coriander
and you've got some marjoram.
Marjoram, yep, and there's usually a little bit of red pepper flakes in there.
Okay, so you blend all that together and you get this,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yep, and I
All
just
right.
fill a mason jar and
then you keep it.
then I keep
stays
it.
like that.
It does.
That's great. Okay, so that's going to go in to flavor our New England clam chowder.
So I've got the butter, the onions, the garlic in there, and everything's starting to cook down. So I sprinkle the spice blend right in.
So that was about, what, a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons?
I would say about a tablespoon and a half.
Tablespoon and a half.
Yeah,
All right, good.
and then kind of move it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Then I'll put my potatoes in.
Okay.
Because I want to coat the potatoes
Yeah.
with the spice.
And that was about, what, 3 cups, 4 cups potatoes diced? It looks like quart.
It's a quart.
Yeah, a quart of
2
potatoes.
ounces. Yeah, thereabouts.
Okay. All right, so you coat the potatoes with all the spices.
Yes, I coat the potatoes pretty well.
Yeah.
I like them that way. This chowder recipe is thin. There's no thickener in it. There's
No flour.
No flour. There's no starch or anything.
Yeah.
We just let it do its thing.
And this is what you're going to serve at the lunch hour, right,
Yes.
today?
Yep, this will be the special for today.
How much do you usually make?
Clam chowder, I usually make about 20 gallons a day.
And that all goes?
That goes, and then we've also got lobster stew and fish chowder on as
Okay.
well. So we normally have 3 chowders, sometimes there's 4. So I've coated my potatoes quite well here.
Yeah.
Again, it kind of heats on a little bit of low.
Yeah.
I'm going to add probably about a half a cup of white wine.
Okay. All right, a half a cup of white wine. So we can use any dry white wine. Yeah.
Anything. What the rule of thumb is whatever you drink, whatever you like,
you cook with.
That's what you cook with.
Yeah. And are you going to let that evaporate?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And again, coat the potatoes and everything, make everybody all happy together in there.
Yeah.
And heat is low to medium. I really don't want to brown anything. I want to let things evaporate and get happy.
Now,
as I say.
always find that when I make a chowder or any kind of a fish stew, it's always better the next day.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. For the restaurant, we usually start the chowders in the afternoon.
The day
stock,
before.
right?
Yeah.
And then depending upon, I don't know how I feel. Will I add the milk tonight, or will I do it first thing in the morning?
Yeah. Okay.
And then I've always got to check for salt and pepper and butter.
Okay.
So
that's looking good.
yeah, and it smells good.
It does smell
You got
good,
your
yeah.
garlic and your it's a perfect storm of garlic and white wine and butter. I don't know what it is about that. All right, I would say that this is just about ready to add the clams to.
Okay. There you go.
All righty. I don't want to miss a bit of juice.
No.
Slow and steady always wins the race.
Right.
All right, so again, it's always stirring, stirring, stirring.
Now, do you need to add more salt at this point, or are you going to wait to taste it when it's done?
I wait to taste
Yeah.
it. They come from a salted ocean.
Right, so that's true.
Yeah, let it do
Yeah.
its thing.
And the Italians always say quanto basta when it comes to seasoning, whatever
It's whatever you like, yeah. So I'm going to start to bring this up to temperature a little bit more.
Okay.
I've got whole milk that I add to it.
Okay.
I don't use cream.
No cream.
Whole milk
Okay.
and butter.
Okay.
Yeah. So before it gets too hot, I like to add the milk
Yeah,
so that
so
it
it
can
doesn't
so it
curdle
can
a
do
little
its dance together. And it's how much milk you would like to add. There's
So this is not a thick wallpaper paste type of clam chowder.
no. And while it's heating, I'm looking at it and I'm looking at that going, that could use some more butter.
Okay.
For me personally.
Yeah, all right.
So
That's going to give it a certain richness for sure.
it does,
Yeah.
and it gives it a nice feel, and I don't know, butter's good.
Now, I think we could let this go now, right? Let this cook?
Yeah.
You cover it at all?
No, I
Okay,
don't. Yeah,
uncovered.
and that's part of it is a little bit of evaporation and just no covering.
Okay. So
Yeah.
while that's cooking, what are we going to do next?
A seafood stew today.
Wonderful.
Okay,
So fish stew, what are we starting with here?
that is a whole haddock.
Beautiful.
Just came in today.
Yeah, and I can tell it's super fresh because the skin is nice and shiny, the eyes are not sunken. It smells absolutely fresh. So this is going to go into our seafood stew.
Yes.
Okay, so, all right. Besides that, what are we going to do?
We also have some monkfish today.
Okay,
You could do
monkfish, yeah.
monkfish, you could do lobster if you had lobster. They have the same texture.
Yes.
These are little bits of haddock from the fillet
Okay.
that we've cut up. We also have some clams. They're
Clams
called
again?
count necks.
Yes.
And we have some shrimp.
Okay.
And these are pre-cooked. It's fine to use those. You could use raw ones if you wanted to. They cook really fast.
So a nice mix of fish, because Francesca, when I originally called you, I said, you know, your family's from the Marche. That means brodetto, which is fish stew. And of course, in the Marche, you use a variety of fish, just like you're using here. Maybe 6 or 7, even 8 kinds of fish go into a brodetto. So whatever is available. So how are we going to start?
I'm going to start medium heat again in a good size. I like a wide pan for this because I have a tendency to overload it with all kinds of lovely seafood.
Sounds good to me. All right, so a little olive oil.
Coat the bottom of the pan with some olive oil.
Yeah.
I've got a diced Vidalia onion. I like the sweet onion.
Yes. Yeah.
When it's available, I like that. So we're gonna let
Sweat
that
down?
sweat it down a little bit. I'm gonna put probably a teaspoon of salt in there.
Okay.
It helps get that down. We're gonna let that heat up a little bit, melt down a little bit, and then I'll put some garlic in.
Okay.
I don't want to put the garlic in too soon because I don't want it to
burn.
These onions are ready for us to move on.
Okay, what's next?
So I am going to put some garlic in there.
All right.
Just going to keep an eye on my heat. We don't want it too hot. And I've got a good 3 cloves of garlic here.
So this recipe, this hails from your family in the Marche, right?
It originally, yes.
Yeah.
It has morphed. You know, when my grandparents came to New England, you're going to use what you have available here.
Yeah, yeah. So they had to adapt and use the ingredients they had here.
Yes.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing this?
How long have I been doing this?
How long have you been doing
Holy
this?
moly. I'm going to add my
Well, now wait a minute. What are we using there?
These are whole plum
Plums.
tomatoes.
Okay, plum tomatoes.
Yep.
And you're going to leave them whole.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I might chop them up a little bit with the spoon in here.
So in they go. So back to the story. So your grandparents came. They brought their recipes from the Marche with them.
Yes.
And then they adapted them to whatever was available.
The seafood that was
here.
available here.
Yeah.
Yes. This is bubbling nice. I am going to add the red pepper flakes now.
Okay.
And this is solely how you like it.
Quanto basta, as they say in Italian, as much as you like. So if you like it really hot, you can add more. So that looked like a 1/4 of a teaspoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like my lips to be warm.
Really tingling.
And some cracked black pepper as well.
Okay.
You can adjust the pepper and the salt afterwards with no problem.
Yeah.
Again, I'm on the philosophy, the seafood comes from a salty ocean.
Yeah, so just you gauge it. Yeah.
Right, so I can do that. And I'm always...
That's smelling really,
I'm always
really
smelling.
good.
That's how I like it. And I've smushed the tomatoes a little bit with my spoon as they've come around.
But you leave some in chunks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And again, it's all relative. If you want to add more tomato, add more tomato.
So is this one of the favorite requested recipes in the restaurant?
I think it's going to become one.
Oh, it is. Okay, after today, right?
After today, yes. This one I've saved for
special
family and special people.
Okay.
I don't make this for everybody.
You've had presidents visit Gino's, right?
I have. I
yes,
have.
and you've served presidents of the United States and
yes.
first ladies.
Absolutely.
So we're in good company here today. Yeah. And what would they like to have when they come? What was their favorite
Believe
thing
it
to
or
ask?
not,
the fish
chowder.
Fish chowder.
And a lobster roll.
Yeah. Good.
So this is bubbling pretty good.
Okay.
I would say it's low to medium heat.
Yeah. Okay.
Some bubbles in the middle.
Okay.
And now I'd like to add the monkfish because that will take the longest to cook.
Yes, because that's got a meaty texture.
It's similar to lobster meat as far as texture.
But none of these fishes are going to take forever to cook.
No.
And we want to start with low heat because we don't want to rubberize them.
Correct.
And we don't want them to fall apart.
We want
either.
this to have a great feel. Ooh. And I coat it with the tomato, because tomato's a tenderizer anyway. So.
Yes, because of the acid. Yeah.
So, and we'll let that cook down probably, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes.
Check it out. Alrighty, I'd say that this monkfish is ready to roll here. It's smelling great.
All right, next thing.
Next thing, we're going to add the haddock, and everything is just kind of roughly chopped.
Yes.
It's just rough. This is a rustic.
You've left it in large pieces.
Yes,
too. That's
I
good.
want you to know what you're eating, what you're getting, and what you're doing.
This is going to be absolutely hearty and filling, and you can see why in the marque they use all of the different fish. And you know, I think this whole tradition came from the fact that when fishermen went out to sea, whatever they couldn't sell, the trimmings, the pieces, they used to make something like this, the brodetto or a fish stew. So these were the leftovers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a leftover vehicle,
Yeah.
which is funny that it has become a hit.
Now, would you ever think about putting a fish head in there? I know, you know, that in Italy, we do that a lot.
That would add tremendous flavor.
Absolutely.
Ooh, yeah. And I'm watching my heat.
Yes.
Because I want it, I want the fish to cook. I don't want to overcook it, and I want to make sure that it stays somewhat together.
You don't want it to get too flaky.
Right. The haddock is going to come apart, and that may add to the thickening of it a little bit.
Yes.
Some people like it thicker, leave it that way. Some people like it thinner. Sometimes I'll add some clam juice if I need it to thin it out a little bit.
Good. All right, so how long do you think that's going to, 2 or 3 minutes?
Easily.
Yeah.
And the shrimp that I'm using today, they're pre-cooked, so that's just basically we're reheating them.
Okay, so you're using large shrimp.
Yes, I like them that way. The tails are on. This is a get your hands in the bowl type of thing. Yeah. So this. So,
so they go in.
Yep, we're gonna put those shrimp right in.
Now you can see how thick this is going to be. This is the whole sea in a bowl.
It
just
is.
about.
It is. And it's smelling great. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. And then the last thing that we have to put in there will be the clams, right?
The clams, absolutely.
Okay. Now, what are we going to do with these tomatoes?
You're going to cut those tomatoes in half.
When do they go in?
I'll put the clams in, and then I'll put the tomatoes in.
Okay, and you're using cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, because I like them.
Okay,
you could use plums. I just prefer something that's not very seedy.
So you've used both canned tomatoes and fresh tomatoes. I like that. That's a nice combination.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's good texture and good flavor-wise.
Yes. All right, so here and I think you have here about 1.5 cups.
Thereabouts,
of cherry tomatoes. And when your garden is going, you can use the cherry tomatoes from your garden.
Absolutely.
All right, there's our tomatoes.
All right. Now I am going to turn my heat up to a medium.
Okay.
Between a medium and a high, because I need some heat to cook steam the clams open.
Okay, there's the tomatoes.
All righty. So I'm going to go ahead and put the clams in.
All right.
I've stirred everything in there and coated it.
And we're still keeping the heat on medium-low?
No,
we're going to raise the heat.
Raise the heat a little bit to a medium.
Yeah, because we want those clams to open.
Right. So kind of make sure everybody's in the juice.
Yes.
And a little bit of room between them so that they'll.
Maybe you need a little of the
I was thinking
clam,
I might
juice,
put in a shot of clam juice so everybody's covered a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they
or you could put in more white wine if you wanted to.
You could put in more wine. Could put in a little bit of both.
Yeah. And then you're going to add some herbs to this.
Yes.
So you've got some fresh basil here.
Some fresh basil and some flat leaf parsley.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put these.
So colorful.
It is.
It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful dish.
And at this point now, I'll put the lid on it.
Okay.
And wait for the clams to open.
Yes.
And then I'll put my spoon in there and check to see who's open and who's not.
Right.
And then we will put the spices on the top.
I know, but then what? Then you're going to serve me,
right? We're going to taste it. Yes, we are. We are.
So tell me about this squid dish you're going to make.
It's an old family recipe, squid and rice.
Squid and rice. And here you have some really nice, fresh-looking squid. I always like to get them when they're not so big. I think they're much tenderer in a smaller body. So it's about 6-7 inches, and then I always use the tentacles as well. So there they are, all very fresh. And we have it all cut up here in pieces. So now we have the squid. So what goes with this? We're
going to start with a red sauce of your liking.
Okay.
Meaning every family's got their sauce recipe.
Yeah.
There is no right, there's no wrong.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to start with coat the bottom of the pan with some olive oil.
I like this pan you're using. Is this an old pan?
This is my mom's Dutch oven. That when I got married and got a new Dutch oven, I came to the house with my new Dutch oven and said, "Can I trade?" And she said yes.
Sometimes you can't improve on the oldest things, right?
And I've got about a half of a diced onion here and a half of a sweet red pepper. Sweet green pepper in here.
Green pepper, okay.
And again, just going to cook them down a little bit. Put a little
Yep.
salt on them as well. That helps cook them down. Probably a teaspoon or so.
So you've been doing this for a while, and now are you training your children to carry on this tradition, or what?
It's that age-old struggle of the child doesn't want to stay in the family business, and I think children should go out into the world before they come back to a family business to see how the world works.
Okay,
Yes.
good. That was good advice.
So I'm about to get ready. I'm going to add 3 cloves of garlic
Okay,
in
so we
here.
got a lot of garlic in
Yeah,
this one.
I'm a garlic red pepper.
Yeah, okay.
If you think it's too much, you can cut back. It's
Yeah.
not. It's like
Yeah.
I said. This is to your liking.
Yes. But you don't get any complaints about this recipe in the restaurant, do you? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's smelling really good. You
Yeah.
can really smell those peppers now cooking.
All right. We don't want the garlic to get bitter. So,
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to add the tomatoes
All right,
now.
so now we have plum tomatoes again.
Yes.
Here we go. So that's about a 28-ounce can of plum tomatoes,
Yes.
about 3½ cups.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And we're leaving them whole. You're going to chunk them down as you go?
Yeah, they chunk down.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. So we'll let this do its thing, and I will add my red pepper flakes.
Okay.
Now, again, how you like it.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to edit that just a little
Okay.
bit. Go on. Like, you can always add more red pepper if you want it.
Now, I always find that when I cook squid, I always cook it over low heat.
Yes.
Low heat. I think people tend to rubberize it by cooking it over high heat, and then they complain that the squid is
Like
chewy.
a rubber
It's like
band.
a rubber band. Yes, it's a good analogy. Always like a rubber band. But if you cook it slowly over low heat, that's not going to happen. And if you start with young squid, small
Yes.
squid, that's also
And
a good
tomato
thing to do.
is a tenderizer.
Right.
Yeah. At this point, too, my sauce is going to start to cook down. I am going to add about a ½ cup of red wine.
Red wine.
Yep.
Okay, good.
I know red wine and it's seafood, but
It's whatever you like.
it's whatever
Yeah.
works for you. So this is, I mean, I would make this sauce for spaghetti or
yes,
some kind of
yes,
pasta. It's just,
yeah.
I've used it for.
Yeah, it's a versatile sauce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so the next step is we're going to add our squid.
The squid. There it goes.
Okay.
And that's not going to take long to cook at all.
No, and it's looking really thick to me today.
Yeah. What
So
about the rice?
I'm thinking we need to add a little bit of liquid
Okay.
for the rice to cook a little bit better. So this is clam juice.
Yeah, so this is great.
And it's, I'd say, what, about a ½ cup or so in there?
Yeah.
Did you think we put in?
Let's put more in.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. And,
And so the rice is going to cook right in the sauce.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So we can just put that raw rice.
Now you're
right in
just
there.
using regular rice.
Just regular rice.
Okay.
If you
About a
prefer
cup.
something else, you could.
You put it in. You could use arborio if you wanted to.
You
Which
could.
is a risotto type rice. It has a lot of starch in it, so
Yes.
it would make it thicker.
So I'll give it a stir,
Beautiful.
and we'll put the lid on it,
Get
and
the bread.
let the rice cook. Towards the end, after it's all cooked, I will add my basil.
Okay.
I like it to stay nice and green.
Yes.
I think it's
put it
pretty.
in at the
Yeah.
end. Or you could add some oregano too if you wanted to, right?
Absolutely.
Or both. Yeah.
And again, red sauce to your liking. So,
Fine with me.
alrighty.
Francesca, I think you just did a fantastic job today of recreating family recipes from the market. Let's
Thank
tell
you.
everybody what we did.
We started with a New England clam chowder, which is in the front there, a brothy type chowder. And then we went to the seafood stew that is loaded with all kinds of great seafood, clams and shrimp and monkfish and haddock. And then we went to a family favorite, which is the squid and rice.
The squid and rice.
This is a comfort food.
Chin
Chin.
chin. And until I see you nella cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito.
And I'm Francesca Marconi.
Ciao.
Ciao.